Hey everybody, it's Rachel. It is a rainy, windy, chilly freaking day out here, but we are going to try to get this done outside as usual. If the wind picks up anymore, I may have to start checking for flying houses. But I figured if Reggie doesn't mind it, I shouldn't either. So today, let's talk about red flags. Now, not the festive kind. I'm talking the you're probably going to regret this kind. The ones that practically wave in our faces while we're standing there thinking, they'll be fine. You know those moments when someone shows you exactly who they are, and instead of believing them, you start narrating this whole imaginary redemption arc? Yeah, we've all done it. We convince ourselves the story will turn out better than it looks, and that is exactly how we treat life's warnings. Kind of like those bright red flags at the beach. The ones flapping in the wind basically saying, hey, the ocean's feeling a little homicidal today, maybe don't swim. But there's always that one person who looks at it and says, they're exaggerating. I'll just wade in a little. 10 minutes later, they're halfway to Cuba, realizing the ocean wasn't bluffing, and the lifeguard is back there shaking his head like, you're not the first, sweetheart. That is us. We see the signs, we feel that gut twinge, and then we think, can't be that bad. I have been thinking about why we do that. Why we ignore the very signs that could save us so much pain, drama, or regret later. Because it's not about being dumb. Ignoring red flags is not a failure of intelligence. It's a feature of being human. Let's be honest, we have all done it at some point. Every single one of us. We've all ignored that gut feeling, made excuses, told ourselves, I'm sure it'll be fine. Some red flags are small. Others are waving like these huge parade banners. Sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's a job, and sometimes it's an idea we've tied our identity to. And sometimes it's not any deep psychology. It's just plain stubbornness or pride or the belief that we'll somehow be the exception. We all like to think we're too smart, too aware, too seasoned to fall for it. But the truth is that sometimes the smarter we are, the better we are at explaining things away. We rationalize, we analyze, we find context. She didn't mean it that way, or he's just under a lot of stress. It's only temporary, or they'll get to it eventually. Meanwhile, we're doing mental gymnastics to protect what we want to believe from what's actually true. That is cognitive dissonance in action. It's the gap between what we know and what we'd rather believe. And most of us will bend the truth just enough to make it feel comfortable. And honestly, there's a lot more to unpack there, but we will save that can of worms for another day. For now, let's just stay with this. When reality starts to crack, hope rushes in to fill the space. Hope's a hell of a drug. It can heal you or it can hijack you. It convinces us that things will turn around, that they'll finally see the light, that maybe this time our patience will pay off. And sometimes it does, just enough to keep us hooked. But there's a difference between hope that helps and hope that hurts. Hope that helps gives you energy to move forward, to rebuild, to grow, to keep your heart open. Hope that hurts keeps you stuck, waiting for someone else to become who you wish they were or who you thought they'd be. We all need hope. It's what keeps the lights on when life goes dark. But false hope has a way of chaining us to situations that ran their course a long time ago. The trick isn't to stop hoping. It's to know when hope has turned into denial, dressed up as optimism. Eventually, hope starts to blur into habit. We don't even notice it happening. We just get used to waiting. And that is when familiarity takes over. We start mistaking predictable for safe. We tell ourselves, well, it's not great, but at least I know what to expect. It's got to get better eventually. Even if what we expect is chaos, the longer we stay somewhere, emotionally, professionally, politically, the more that place starts to define us. Leaving feels like erasing part of ourselves. That's why people stay in jobs that drain them, or defend people who clearly do not deserve the loyalty. It's not just fear of change. It's fear of what it says about us if we admit we were wrong. Now, I'm not trying to be cryptic or vague here. You fill in whatever version applies to you. We've all seen people double down on something that is clearly past saving. And honestly, most of us have done it at some point ourselves, at least once. But being wrong doesn't mean you're weak. Maybe it just means that you are open enough to believe in something. And seeing the truth does not make you foolish, it makes you free. You see it everywhere. At work, it's the boss who praises you on Monday and undercuts you by Wednesday. The mission-driven company that burns out every employee in the name of passion. The coworker who calls you a friend but uses you as a ladder. In friendships or family, it's the person who jokes at your expense or the one who apologizes but never changes. And out in the wider world, it's the public figure or cause that once felt inspiring but now feels off. Sometimes we keep defending people long after they have stopped earning it, not because we agree with them, but because we remember who we thought they were and what they promised. It's okay to stop doing that. It's okay to say, I believed in something that did not turn out to be true. That is not betrayal. That's integrity. The longer we ignore those red flags, the harder they are to walk away from. Not because they fade, but because our story deepens around them. We start to see leaving as failure. I've already put too much time into this, or I can't start over now. It's too late to change. That is called the sunk cost fallacy, the trap that makes us think that the more we've given, the more we owe. But staying too long does not protect what you've built. It just drains what you've got left. Walking away is not quitting. It's trusting that you deserve peace more than you need proof that you had tried hard enough. And maybe that's the hardest part, realizing what ignoring red flags says about us. That we didn't want to see, that we explained too much, excused too often, and hoped too hard. That maybe deep down we were just scared of losing something that once felt right. But seeing clearly is not shameful. It's kind of liberating, actually, because clarity doesn't erase who you were. It reminds you who you are now. If you're somebody who feels deeply, you probably don't ignore red flags. You just reinterpret them. You see pain where there's really pattern. You tell yourself, they're just struggling or they're trying. And sometimes, yeah, that's true, but not always. There is a big difference between empathy and enabling. You can care without carrying. You can wish someone well and still walk away. You can love people and still decide not to drown with them. Empathy does not mean you have to stand in the storm just because you understand where the lightning's coming from. Eventually, there's that quiet turning point, the moment you stop arguing with reality. The situation hasn't changed. You have. You stop needing the chaos to make sense. You stop trading your peace for potential. And you realize that the calm you are waiting for doesn't come from fighting the current. It comes from letting it carry you back to shore. That is not cynicism. It's just seeing things for what they are. And once you do, you start to trust yourself again. Marcus Aurelius once said, if anyone can show me I'm wrong, I'll gladly change my mind because truth is what I seek. That's courage, not just seeing clearly, but being willing to. Buddhism says suffering begins when we resist reality. Stoicism says peace begins when we accept it. Both are right. Clarity can sting at first, but it's the sting that saves you. Because when you stop repainting red flags white, you stop getting blindsided by the same storm twice. It's rarely funny in hindsight. Most often, it's humbling. You look back and you realize how badly you wanted to believe, how long you held on, how much of yourself you gave to something that wasn't giving back. But that realization, as painful as it is where strength is born, because it means you finally stopped lying to yourself. And that is where healing starts. So maybe it's not about avoiding red flags altogether. Maybe it's about respecting them. Trusting that your intuition is not trying to ruin your fun, it's trying to keep you afloat. We all ignore red flags sometimes. The goal is not perfection, it's awareness. And every time you honor that quiet nudge inside you, you build a little more trust with yourself. That is not failure, it's growth. And that is what resilience really looks like. And hey, if this kind of thing hits home for you, give it a thumbs up maybe share it with somebody who's been ignoring their own red flags. It really helps the channel a lot. The algorithm's not exactly generous unless people tell it, hey, this was worth it. So if you think more people should hear this kind of message, you know the drill. Please and thank you. Thanks for watching. As always, take care of you, and I will see you the next time. Bye-bye.